Okay. So to recap, you got a base, Obsidian. We've talked about Para. Hopefully you've watched, some basics about the core system of how you capture things, get them organized, review them. We haven't really talked about expression yet. Don't worry about that. But the cycle is you're capturing and sorting things by their actionability. Where do they fall? Projects are goals, areas are standards, and our resources are things we're curious about. So we've got goals, standards, and curiosity. It's not one of those three, probably archive it. Now, what I want to do is bring into this, what I do is using the Zettlekasten system. And so Zettlekasten is a concept by a guy named Nicholas Luhmann. This exploded, and it was part of this whole, what is linking our thinking all about? And I'm going to start to reveal to you some of the real power of Obsidian and what it can do. And so the big idea is that you want to think about topics of interest, things you're working on, as like little train cars, one note per idea. And you link them so that it's easy to walk through the train. And another way you could think about it is sort of a stack of papers, but it's digital. You're like, I got anything, put it on the stack. And you can link it to the next thing that it's at. And we've seen hyperlinking before, but when you combine it with this kind of organization, what it allows you to start to do is create associations. And that's how the mind works. It's one of its most powerful features is being an association engine. And we're going to be able to start creating a spare brain, another mind, by associating notes with other notes. And how does that work? So let's dive in a little bit. And what I want to do is we're going to activate a plugin. And to do this, we have to go back to core plugins. And down here in the core plugins is one is called Unique Note Creator. Okay. And when you turn that on, you might have noticed off to the side, we're going to get this little icon appearing. And the Unique Note Creator is going to have a feature. It's going to know, where do you want to put this file when you create it? And, the default is, for me, I dump them in my daily notes. Like, put it until I sort it, just stick it there. If I make a new note, put it in my daily note, because that's where I disperse things. I organize things into the system. Is there a template you want to use? Well, yeah, it turns out there is a template I want to use, and it is a Zettelkasten unique note, and I'll walk you through that. And then I'm going to leave this alone, and it is the time format. This big time number is a big deal. And it's going to be the year, the 2-digit month, the 2-digit day, and the hour and the minute. So that it's really rare to create more than one note in less than a minute. And so this makes every note effectively unique. And then we're going to be able to modify the names so it's easier to understand and find them. Now, what does all that do for you? So let's say this time, instead of dumping the information directly into your daily note, what you want to do is create a brand new note. And you can see now we've got this sort of note has popped up. This one I'm going to call the availability heuristic. It's going to be another psychology thing. I think they're fun. And now you begin to see why it's worthwhile to have an alias, because I don't always want to see this big number. And it turns out I don't know how to spell that. So let's fix it. And that means I'm going to have to fix it in both places. I need computers' help to get things right. This comment is, okay. And then I'm going to take that little bitty title up there, just the word part, and I'm going to stick it here. So eventually I will give you macros that will take care of all this stuff for you. It will do it automatically. It's just like, you're like, make a note, and I'll fill it all in. But I'm doing this by hand, so you can begin to see the process. So now I have this. I know that this note is going to end up being in the psychology folder. So I'm going to move this file to, and you can start typing psychology, bang. It automatically helped me find it, and there's that note. Now, I would like to link this note to the cognitive dissonance note. So double bracket, cognitive, boom, it finds that note. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to forward link this one to the availability heuristic. And notice what it did. It's giving me the alias first, the very readable link, not this big ugly thing. I could use that too, but it gives me the most readable link. That's the one I want. And I'll take a second to explain the form. 2 square brackets, like a wiki link, will create an automatic link inside of a note to another note. And the first thing up is its actual file name. So if I was to open up my hard drive, I would find this big long thing, .md, in a folder on my hard drive. But if I use a pipe, a vertical bar symbol, it's usually right above the enter key and shares with the / key. I can give it a short, very readable name, a short link. So here's the long link, here's the short link. And when I hit space, all I have to look at is the short link. It makes it very readable. And now what I can begin to do is walk backwards and forwards through my notes. I'm linking them together in a train. So if I find another type of psychological bias that I'm interested in, I could repeat this process and add it to the train. Why are we going through all this hassle? What's the big deal? Because it is, believe it or not, shockingly common for notes sometimes to have the exact same short link name. And very often happens with project plan. Well, how many of those are you going to have? I usually have 5 to 10 projects open at once. So combining it with this unique timestamp makes sure that none of these files are confused with each other and that they're all unique and so they're all searchable. Now, one of the awesome things about Obsidian is it automatically scans for link mentions. And so it will tell you who is linking. So you not only have a forward link, what this is, you have the back link. You can click on this and get back to the document that referenced it. So let me show you 2 versions of this. Let's say we're going to paste the availability heuristic just as text in my daily note. No problem. Let's go back and look at that note. Is it an unlinked mention? Yes. It shows up as an unlinked mention. So just mentioning it, the Obsidian engine goes out and scans all your notes to find who's referring to who, who's talking to who, who's linked to who. And you can even create, and this is a really small database to be doing this, you can open a graph of your notes. And so it'll give you a visual representation of how all these things are linked. And open default, why am I not seeing it? So I'm struggling here. Open graph view. Okay. There we go. That is my database. I have a bunch of disconnected notes, but these lines here, when you zoom in, you begin to realize, oh, they're connected to all of these other files. So what we're going to do, my system, is I create intentional links, but I also heavily rely on the power of the unmentioned links. Is that when things are written, and now what you're beginning to have is a system that is automatically associating information together. And what's so powerful about that is if we reopen that again, every path through this information is a new way of looking at the concepts. And that's why it blew up. It blew up in 2 areas. It blew up in medical because everything's connected in medical, and it blew up with content creators because the internet has a voracious appetite for content, and walking through your nodes in a novel way allows you to take things you're already familiar with and present them to people in new ways. Now, maybe ChatGPT and generative AI have fixed that, except what if you combine the 2 of them? Now we have an exponential capacity to create interesting topics and interesting perspectives. What I've noticed is that using this system together, I get way more interesting content generated using the combination of the 2. So when we are basically creating our notes. We are linking them together in sort of a train and topics we're interested in. And that gives this the capacity to start generating these graphs and creating the associations. And I got to tell you, once you start building out your note base, it is just so powerful to suddenly go, wow, that was like something else I read. And then you find it. And what happens is through spaced repetition, it reinforces your own knowledge and understanding of that information. And it accelerates how much knowledge and information you actually have access to use. So this framework allows us to put information in places where it's useful. And then when we start linking together relevant types of information, it expands dramatically the amount of knowledge we have access to. As Maya Angelou said, when we know better, we do better. And, I've called this the insight engine for a good reason. When you start connecting seemingly unrelated ideas, this is a tool to help you do that. So this is the core why I'm so excited about this platform. And what I'll do going forward is give you some more tools to automate more of this, make this easier to use, and simplify a lot of the tasks I have as a business owner, and maybe you'll be able to find some use out of that too.